Hearty welcome to all knowledge seekers to my channel. This is Dr. Madhusudan Rao Kadapa. In this video, I am going to explain the importance of capacity planning. In agenda, we have capacity planning definition, purpose of capacity planning, and factors to be considered for effective capacity planning, and the capacity planning procedure and forms of capacity planning. Here, capacity planning defined. Actually, capacity in general refers to the capability of the organization in terms of its resources, maybe human resources, machinery, equipment, material, and financial resources. Now, the process of estimation of the capacities, what kind of capacities are required and how much is required and when each type of capacity is required in order to carry out the operations of the organization to meet the demands of the customers is called capacity planning. So in detail, it is the process of estimating the kind of capacity, means human resource, machinery, equipment, materials and finance, and how much they are required and when they are required, and this is called capacity planning. And the objective is to match the level of operations to the level of demand, because the level of demand depends on the market conditions. So in order to meet the level of demand, company or the organization has to carry out capacity planning. The purpose of capacity planning. Here we have a few points which indicate why capacity planning has to be done. Capacity planning has to be done in order to maintain the required or sufficient capacity to meet the customer's requirements or demands in time. And capacity planning is essential in order to achieve cost efficiency of operations, and it is essential for effective scheduling of the production activities, because unless we know the capacities of different work centers or different departments and how much capacity actually is available and how much additional capacity is required, suppose if there is an increase in demand or if there is any variations in demand, how to meet those deviations. Then in case of planning for future growth or expansion or market trends, so depending on the growth, because it all depends on the stage of the product in the life cycle, or sometimes we may go for expansion. In such case also we have to carry out capacity planning, and then depending on the market trends also we may be required to carry out capacity planning and to match the level of operations to the level of demand. This is common. And coming to the factors for effective capacity planning, if you want to carry out the capacity planning in a more effective manner, what factors we have to consider? First one is facilities. In facilities, there are design, location, layout and environment. Now, how design of the product or process will influence the capacity planning, and how the location influences the capacity planning, how layout will influence the capacity planning, and the environment. So these are the factors from facilities point of view, because capacity planning involves not only identifying the required human resource, it also involves identification of the type and capacity of different machinery, equipment, tools and so on. So from facilities point of view, we have to think of, depending on the design of the product and process, depending on the location where we are using these facilities and the plant layout, whether the plant layout supports for capacity enhancement or growth or expansion, and so on. Then coming to the product design. Product design is very important because depending on the design of the product only, we will determine or finalize the process. And then product mix, which indicates the number and type of different products of different designs or varieties. So it also influences the capacity planning, because if it is a product mix case, then different products may require different processing times, or maybe different types of people, or maybe different types of tools. So accordingly the capacity planning will change. Coming to the process, quantity and quality capabilities of the process. Coming to the quantity, how much production volume we will get using a particular type of process. Process also influences the capacity, because if you have two alternative processes to make a product, then both the processes may not give the same kind of output in terms of quantity. Similarly, quality also, it depends on the process parameters. So quality and quantity capabilities of the process are important while carrying out capacity planning. And coming to the human factor, the job content. Job content means what are the processes to be carried out on the materials to convert them into the products, and how much time is elapsed for each and every operation, etc. And the job design, then motivation to the employees, and what kind of compensations we are providing, and training, and experience of the labor, that means the available labor, exactly. Then learning rate. If the learning rate of the employees are quick and they are high learning rates, then people will not commit more and more mistakes as the time goes on. So with the passage of time, if the learning rate is high, then naturally there is little scope for damages or scrap or rework or repair or rejections. Then absenteeism of employees and labor turnover. So in human factor, we have to consider all this while carrying out capacity planning to identify the mix of different types of workers required for the organization. Then operational factors, scheduling, materials management, then quality assurance, maintenance policies, whether we are following breakdown maintenance or preventive maintenance or combination, or what type of policies we have, and the equipment breakdown rates. So these are operational factors to be considered while carrying out capacity planning. And the other factors are external factors, which are product standards, safety regulations, union attitudes, and pollution control standards. Coming to the capacity planning procedure, how capacity planning is done. The first step is assessing the capacity of existing facilities. Suppose we have a manufacturing organization where there may be several machines, and each machine may have a different capacity. Say maybe producing 100 units per hour, or 50 units, or 500 units. So assessing the capacity of the existing facilities will help in identifying whether additional equipments or machinery have to be purchased or installed, or can we run with the existing capacity to meet the market demands. Then forecasting long range future capacity requirements. Depending on the market for the product and the market trends it is showing, on a long range basis we have to find out what will be the future capacity requirements for the product. If it is somewhat promising and more encouraging, in such case we can purchase somewhat higher quality, higher quantity, means high production capacity machines right now, or we may replace some of the machines with higher capacity ones, so that we may get some cost advantages also, because we can run the machine for a longer time, because as the demand for the product will be increasing in future. And identifying and analyzing sources of capacity for future needs. See, the capacity not only is limited to the machinery or equipment, even for human beings, I mean the human resources. We have to identify and analyze different sources of capacity, not only for present needs, for future needs also. Then evaluating the alternative sources of capacity based on the financial, technological, economical considerations. Here, financial considerations means for each type of capacity what we design, that means suppose if you want to operate the organization with a capacity of 300 units per day or per week, with that capacity if you want to operate, its requirements are different. Or you may operate your firm with a capacity of 250, which may be a minimum or average demand, and the additional demand can be met by carrying out I mean different strategies, using different strategies like going for subcontracting or maybe overtime, like that. So in each case the calculations will be different, and we have to analyze in terms of the economics, cost economies what we get, and from financial point of view, the other thing is that how much capacity is required and what kind of alternative machines or equipments are available, and what will be the cost per unit when we go for different types of machinery. And coming to the technological factor, whether the technology will survive for a few more years, or the technology which we are going to adapt will become obsolete in near future. In such case we cannot go for such technologies. Then selecting the capacity alternative most suited to achieve the strategic mission of the firm. So that is the final step. And coming to the situations in capacity planning, we come across two different situations in capacity, that is a shortage of capacity or surplus capacity. Suppose the present capacity is not sufficient to meet the future demands of the product, then it is capacity shortage situation. On the other hand, if the present capacity exceeds the expected future demands for a product, in such case it is surplus capacity situation. And the next thing is the factors which will influence the optimal capacity. First one is the capital investment required, because this is more important, as we have to invest some money in arranging the capacity to meet the market requirements. So how much capital is required, it is very important factor. And the changes in product design or process design or market conditions or product life cycle. Say if the product design changes in near future, in such case we cannot go for higher capacity, because for the new design or the revised design, again the market has to be studied, analyzed. There are so many other things. Then process design, what type of process we are going to use to make the product according to the changed or revised design. And then market conditions, how they are, and product life cycle, in which stage of the life cycle the product is right now, whether it is at introduction stage or growth stage or maturity stage, or stable or maybe declining. Then flexibility for capacity additions. So depending on the flexibility, is there any flexibility to add more capacity if suppose the demand is increasing in near future? So in such case, there must be some flexibility and level of automation desired. So whether the operations are carried out such that the movement of material between different facilities is manual or semi-automatic or automated. So to what extent we are going for automating the processes and market demand for the product and product obsolescence and technology obsolescence and the type of technology we are selecting in our plant for the particular product. Then forms of capacity planning. Here, based on the time horizon, we have long-term capacity planning and short-term capacity planning. So long-term capacity planning is for 3 to 5 years, whereas short-term capacity planning is for a few months to a year. So based on the time horizon, we will carry out capacity planning. In general, we will carry out long range or long term capacity plan, and thereafter for every quarter or every year we may go for short term capacity planning. And based on the amount of resources employed, depending on the resource requirements, it may be finite capacity planning or infinite capacity planning. Thanks for watching this video. For more videos, like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you.